Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished professional and an entrepreneur from Chicago, USA, Seema Jain. Seema, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh. It's an honor to be with you today.
Thank you. Seema is the founder and chief executive officer of Seva Global, an organization that is growing business through cultural competency. Seema is also the co-founder of two nonprofit organizations, which is Supporting Excellence in Education Foundation, or SEED, and the Young Jains of America. She was earlier with Baxter, Caremark, and Marriott. So Seema, before we talk Seva Global, tell me a little bit about your own journey.
Sure. So Ashutosh, I am a first generation Indian, born here in the USA. My parents came in the 60s. And as you know, when the parents came in that time frame, they really just had four professions that they could do: a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or business.
Absolutely.
So my father pursued a finance degree. He was a PhD from Columbia University and did a professor of statistics, accounting, and finance. Well, when my turn came to go to college and I asked him, Dad, what can I do? Of course, he said, why don't you try business and I'll give you some choices. You can do finance or accounting. So he was quite liberal to give me two choices. I picked his footsteps and I did finance. So my first lifetime, I was in the healthcare industry, and I was doing due diligence, pro formas, discounted cash flow models for physical therapy centers at Baxter Caremark. Well, fast forward to 1995, my parents decided to get in the hotel industry. So they started buying some hotels in the Hilton family. And when my turn came to go back into work after raising my children, I decided, Ashutosh, I need to learn this industry. One day they might need my help. So I didn't understand the terminology, the acronyms that were being used. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go into this industry and I'm going to try sales. My personality is more extroverted. It sounded a lot sexier to do something different. So I went into corporate sales. But that was 2006. Now, if you remember, in 2008, we had a big recession, right? Now, as a salesperson, I still had to meet my goals. So how was I going to meet my goals when the recession was going on, similar to maybe what's happening now in USA as well? So I decided to think of diverse revenue streams, not just keeping into traditional thinking. I noticed that a nearby competitor hotel was serving Indian guests. And I was wondering why they were not staying at my hotel. So I went to the hotel. I found out where they were coming from. I called my corporate travel manager and I said, Sue, please tell me why your guests are at this hotel. Why are they not at my hotel? She said, Seema, they're just really easy. It's close. It's just 2 miles away. So I talked to my general manager, who was a Polish woman, and I'm an Indian salesperson. I have a Polish general manager, and we were working for Marriott, a Mormon company, which is quite a great multicultural story all in itself.
Absolutely.
I said to her, Carolina, I have an idea. What if we start appealing to our guest cultural needs? We put some desi food, some Indian food at the breakfast. We can put the Indian TV stations in the room, because back in 2008, we didn't have all the access to technology. So put TV Asia, Sony TV, all that. And let's start taking care of them in a cultural way. And guess what, Ashutosh? We were able to start moving the Indian population into our hotel to such the effect that I was able to do a 20-fold ROI on this hotel.
Amazing.
So when you're putting, a few $1,000s in expenses and you can have a 20-fold, it caught eye at Marriott International. And then we repeated the story for the Chinese guests, Japanese guests. The recipe was taking care of them in a cultural way that appeals to them is going to make a difference. So Marriott headquarters caught eye of the story. They created a position for me in 2012 where I was leading a Culture Day program for our hotels.
Wow.
When I started, there was only 4,000 hotels that I was responsible for. And when I left the company, it was 8,000. But I created a program, Ashutosh, that was teaching the hotel staff all about what are the business protocols, social protocols, the custom, holiday, food of a particular culture. So what started with Indian weddings, because as you know, we spend quite a bit of money, and that is a very nice piece of business for hotels. We were teaching them from Sangeet to, Haldi ceremony to the Barat, everything. And then it went into the Jewish culture, LGBTQ plus, Muslim, Chinese, and we kept growing our library. So that's where my adventure started. And in 2020, I decided with the pandemic that maybe it's time I take my cultural knowledge and share it with other industries and the world. And that's where Seva Global was born.
Fabulous. And what a great start to our conversation on Seva Global. So tell me a little bit about Seva Global and what was your motivation to start the venture?
Right. So I think I've always had an underlying entrepreneurial spirit. My brother's an entrepreneur. My father was a management consultant company. And I know that itch had always been there. Now, Marriott International was very kind to me to give me the opportunity to be an entrepreneur in a large corporation. That itch had always been there. And I think, honestly, the pandemic was just a blessing, a silver lining for me for two reasons. Ashutosh, you know what seva means, right? It's an Indian Sanskrit word that means the act of selfless service. During the time when we were all furloughed in this hospitality business, it was the first time in a 14-year corporate career I could go home and do seva for my mom and dad. My mother has been a caregiver for my father for 20 years. He is in a wheelchair and she takes care of him with such love and seva. I wanted to give back to her. So when I remember my company name every day, it's a reminder to do a little seva for somebody, whether it's your parents, elders, or your community. So that's how the name came about. Seva Global is really desired to help other people, not just hospitality, but beyond. So I have phenomenal clients in airline, in technology, financial institutions, because I think everybody can become a little bit more culturally competent as we see the world is changing. We have diverse customers, we have diverse employees, we have diverse vendors. And if we don't know how to work with them effectively, we might lose the business or we could make a faux pas. So I've taken this journey to say, let me help people just get a little bit stronger in this space so they're more confident working with somebody of a different background.
Fascinating. And when you talk about growing business through cultural competency, help me understand what this means and give me an example.
Sure. Absolutely. So this is one of my favorite presentations that I do for a lot of C-suite, sales and marketing teams, operations. It's basically understanding that the way we might want to communicate with somebody could be different in the world, right? The way in America we greet is maybe a handshake, but in India, it could be a namaste. In China, it could be bowing at the waist. So we're just learning that there's different ways to communicate around the world. If we are mindful and sensitive to those, we can actually drive the business. So let me give you a great example. The Japanese business card exchange. In America, we tend to just take a business card, for example, here, and we just say, hey, here you go, and we throw it across the table, right? However, in Japan, that would be a big faux pas. Absolutely. And we have to understand that it is a ritual. It is a presentation. It is holding it, reading it, taking care of it, not writing on it. It is the face of the person that you are talking to, and you want to respect it, right? And place it in front of you while they're in your presence. So a couple of years ago, great example is we had gone to the Marriott New York Marquis, and there had been a large group there from Japan, and we were educating the entire team. There is a woman named Terry Morrison. She is the author of a great book called Kiss, Bow, and Shake Hands. Together, we created a 1-hour presentation of understanding the Japanese culture so that the 100 leaders at the Marquis could take this information to their teams. First and foremost, I said, the meeting you have, number one meeting, take 15 minutes aside and do this correctly, because that will set the tone for the entire stay. So that is one thing. My metrics itself showing that, the dollars and cents are there.
Correct.
And also, honestly, Ashutosh, the other thing is when we look at growing your business, you're everything from your employee engagement. Right now, it's Ramadan. Many people are celebrating throughout the world. I have many Muslim friends. Even something as simple as Ramadan Mubarak, or understanding their fasting, being a little mindful that not to do heavy activity, or understanding their prayer times so that we don't schedule meetings during that time. That employee engagement makes people feel good. The other major impact in this is also the talent acquisition. We can acquire great talent when these new generations see companies that are doing good work in cultural competency. So nowadays, I talk to my daughter, she's 22. She has a great job in Chicago, coming here this summer after graduation. In my time, Ashutosh, maybe yours, it was salary and benefits. What's the best salary? What are the benefits? But the new generation, these Gen Z, as we call it, they're looking at a company from a very holistic approach.
Correct.
What is the corporate social responsibility? What is their DEI efforts? What are they doing to make an impact in this world?
Yeah.
And if we are not doing that in even adding cultural competency as part of that, they will not be attracted to these companies. So there's so much ways to grow through talent, through money, or through revenue, and just the employee engagement. So I think it's an important hot topic, and it is the future of our DEI efforts.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Thank you for a great response. My next question to you, Seema, is how do you measure the success of these initiatives? And are there any metrics you use to track progress?
So when my clients approach me and they're taking whether it's a Jewish workshop or LGBTQ, we do ask them for success stories to come back. It could be as simple as, wow, we said this, the client was so happy, and they were able to sign the contract, right? So when I was with Marriott, we had ways to measure it. And it was only as good as people would report, right? I mean, the metrics are as good as that. So we would know, okay, in my last year at Marriott International, $15 to $20 million in assisted sales. Today, we leave it to our clients to just tell us what their reports are, what metrics they want. For some, the metrics could be something as customer satisfaction. For others, it could be a revenue number that is appealing to them. And we get many great success stories every day that we share in our newsletter as well.
Fantastic. Fantastic. You also spoke about DEI, so obviously you consult a lot with companies as well. But how do you balance the need to honor different cultural traditions and customs to promote a unified company culture?
So the good news, you had interviewed Bernadette. She is my partner, and we give her we work together, DEI and cultural competency. I think the main thing is that when you're working, and are you speaking to how Seva Global is doing it, or how? Yes. So so my company, I am the CEO, but I have 5 strong team members, and they are each very intentionally hired by me. They are on part-time contract labor, but I have been working with them in checking who is the right person to maybe fill a void. So for example, we have 4 generations in my small team. We represent Asia, we have Jewish, we have LGBTQ, we have American, we have different ethnicities, races, and religions as well. Ashutosh, the truth is, diverse teams will rise above. We are getting new perspectives every day. Absolutely. Just because I am, 54, I don't think I know everything. I rely on my youngest 22-year-old team member because sometimes they have newer ideas and newer initiatives.
Correct.
The one thing I do pride myself is I do listen to each team member and I like to hear their opinion. Now, I may not always agree, but I want to give it an open-minded, just like I teach my clients to be open-minded about cultures.
Correct.
I want to be open-minded with my team. And I because they know that, we are all very collaborative effort. So in USA, we tend to be very individualistic thinkers, but in Asian cultures, we come from a collaborative, collectivistic society. And that's how we have formed our team as well. So I feel that, diversity brings a lot to our team, and everybody has a unique viewpoint that we must embrace.
Absolutely. And, you're living in probably one of the most culturally diverse countries in the world. I mean, the US is, but tell me, and I've experienced this many times, how do you manage unconscious biases that sometimes creep in?
Sure. So, Ashutosh, one thing is, we will always have unconscious bias.
Correct.
As a human being, it is impossible to eliminate. Impossible. However, what our goal is each day is to help people reduce it. Okay. To get to understanding through education, through coursework, to reduce. People think, let's get rid of it. You cannot. It is going to be part of us to some level. So there's cultural biases also. One of my things is, in my workshops, we are only going to promote the positives of a culture. I'm going to promote the great traditions in China. I don't need to talk about anything negative.
Correct.
That's what media can do. That's not my job. My job is to show the positives of each culture, to remove stereotypes. I provide generalizations, which are to be helpful, but to realize one society is not going to all be the same. Right. Correct. So even when I teach Indian weddings, I might say this is a traditional Hindu North Indian, but I can't teach everything South Indian, right? Everybody has a difference, and I'm happy to share. But the point of our understanding and our passion of what we do, Ashutosh, is to help people even move the needle 5 degrees to a more positive understanding of a different culture, a different race, a different religion.
Well said. So one more question related to Seva Global, and then I want to move to the nonprofit organizations you work with. How is technology changing our understanding of cultural competency?
Right. Well, I have to say that there's always blessings in disguise. And one silver lining of the pandemic was Zoom. If I had known better, I would have invested in Zoom early on that stock. However, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, all the new virtual technology has helped us. The world is so big, and yet we are able to bring things into everyone's view, right? And I think that's important, that this technology that we have in the last 3 years has helped us reach people. Like Ashutosh, you and I may not have had this conversation before this, right? And now I can reach so many people on this wonderful platform. We do in person, we do virtual, we do hybrid solutions. So my words and my education that I'm giving can be done now worldwide. So we have people coming from all over the world to the workshops. And I think that technology has done for us is just been, it's priceless. It's truly priceless for what we can do for our society today.
Fascinating. Let's move on now, Seema. You're the co-founder of 2 nonprofit organizations. One is Supporting Excellence in Education Foundation, and the second one is Young Jains of America. Tell me about both these organizations and the kind of work you are doing.
Sure. So as my last name indicates, I am Jain. And for those who may not know, Jain is a religion in India. It is not part of Hinduism. It is separate, for your viewers who may not know. So my father, when he came to this country, built one of the first early on Jain centers in New York. And he was very devoted to the religion and making sure that the new generations coming to USA still had the access to learn about the religion. So I followed his footsteps again, and very proud daughter that I am of his, that I decided at age 25 that we also needed to have a youth organization. So as these new generations are coming and they are learning Jainism in USA, how do we ensure that the religion would would sustain, that we reform and change it to the new ways of the world that we live in USA. So being vegetarian as part of the religion, we were trying to form an organization where people of similar Jain like-mindedness could come together, meet, socialize, learn about their culture, how is Jainism affected in medicine? And this came that we started the first convention in 1994, and that was in Chicago, and we had 750 Jain youth come to this conference. And from there, we are still hosting every 2 years. The legacy is continued. We think our 30-year celebration, and we have been hosting every 2 years a youth conference of 750 people. Wow. So I had taken on the board of trustees, advisory, but they know that, as they say, Seema Auntie will always be there for these youth in making sure that they are able to sustain and keep our religion growing outside of India.
Fascinating.
And that's the first one.
Absolutely.
The second one is called SEED, Supporting Excellence in Education. So Ashutosh, one thing is, while I was raising my children, I had gone back for an early childhood degree because I have a passion for teaching and children. And Seva Global kind of brings this together where I get to teach to everybody in a different way. But Seed Foundation was developed in 1998. While I was raising kids, I still wanted to keep busy and do something good and giving back to the community. So we created a foundation for Indian high school students to try to receive scholarships as they go to college. Okay. The organization has evolved over the years, and now it is mostly on need-based Indian children going on to high school. So that was the education part of me that wanted to give back. Also, Seva, giving back. I guess I've been doing it longer than I realized, and it just comes to fruition all at the end with the company that we started. So we do a lot of Seva, even in the company, with donation and not only giving back to the Indian community, but more importantly, Ashutosh, giving back to the communities we live in. So I do have a Seva Global retreat in May, and part of my retreat with my entire team is going out in the community and doing some community work. So that is the core of the retreat, and then all the other fun stuff we'll put around. But we really want to make sure that the team realizes that Seva is about giving back to the community as well.
How wonderful. And my last question to you, Seema, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on your own amazing journey, your understanding of hospitality, cultural competency, all the work that you're doing for the young Jains, supporting the community for, education, etc. What would you say are 3 lessons you would want our young viewers and listeners to take away from your learnings and from our conversation?
Ooh, good question, Ashutosh. First and foremost is to always believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will.
Correct.
You have to have faith in yourself, and it's scary at times. There were times where I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Am I not? But I believed in my work. I believed in the passion of what I was spreading, the cultural competency knowledge. And 2.5 years later, I am so confident that this company will do well. Yes. And that we will be able to spread the knowledge to more and more companies each day and organizations. So first, believe in yourself.
Right.
Second, I would say is staying true to yourself, authentic and genuine. And more importantly, being humble. Just as the new generation is looking at companies, they're also wanting companies that speak an authentic voice. Correct. That are genuine and holistic, right? Correct. That is the one thing I tell people is, whatever you do, humility will sell across every culture. Correct. Be authentic and genuine. And the third thing is, I do say is, whatever you decide to do, whether you're doing something for Ramadan, Lunar New Year, Diwali, whatever holiday, always maintain cultural sustainability. And what that means is, if you're going to do something very big this year for a special holiday, you need to maintain that level. Correct. So I say go slow and steady. Do small things and then build. But if you go too big and go backwards, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So
Correct.
take a smaller initiative and be inclusive to all the holidays, for example, I'm just saying, and do something small, even if it's just a sign of recognition that, Ramadan Mubarak, and that's the sign that you're putting in your office building or wherever, your restaurant or someplace on the front desk. Fine. Next year, you might do something a little bit more and you keep elevating, but don't go backwards is my only advice.
Well said. And what a great response. And on that note, Seema, and your 3 amazing lessons: believe in yourself. Second, you said was stay true to yourself, be authentic, be genuine, be humble. And the third one, which is so powerful, which is maintain cultural sustainability. I think that's a very, very powerful lesson that you've given. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your amazing journey in the corporate world, in healthcare, and in hospitality. Thank you for speaking to me about Seva Global and all the amazing work that you're doing. Thank you also for speaking to me about both your nonprofits. Thank you again, and good luck.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Truly an honor to be with you today.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.